This is my reaction to the Baltimore Ravens' 24-0 win over the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 15. This was a throwback, a virtuoso performance on defense today. We did get a second-half offensive explosion, right, to jump ahead 14-0 at the half. But Zach Orr's defense, specifically the D-line, they frustrated, they battered Joe Burrow at times, evening the record at 7-7. There's so many guys on the defensive side that I think were playing at or near their highest level. I gave you a couple of them here in the beginning. Alohi Gilman. He was a force coming downhill, making tackles, in particular into the boundary, but also expertly dropping underneath wide receivers in coverage. It seemed to me that with Jamar Chase set to the boundary as the X-receiver generally, Gilman was dropping underneath of him and really helping out the boundary side corner, in most cases Nate Wiggins, basically limiting the route tree that you could access for Jamar Chase. Now, when the All-22 and end zone angle film comes out, we'll get a better view of that, but that's kind of what I saw live speed. But Gilman also had a ton of tackles against the pass as well. Van Noy, that was a sick interception, right? And then the lateral or handoff, whatever you want to call it, to Gilman that basically turns it into, I think, 84 plus 11-yard return. 11 for Van Noy and then 84 for Gilman. The defensive line, we can certainly talk about Lamar today. Derrick Henry got things going in the second half. He had another 100-yard game on only 11 carries. I think it's his fifth 100-yard rushing game of the season. But this defensive line, Tavius Robinson, 2 sacks. Actually, he just had one, but multiple pressures / quarterback hits. Dre'Mont Jones, Travis Jones, even David Ojabo had a clean win in a pass rush situation. And all that wasn't just against the backup right tackle either. Travis Jones had multiple wins against Dalton Risner, the right guard. Dre'Mont Jones was giving it to everybody. He played like a maniac. He kind of told him about it a couple of times. We as a team had 3 sacks overall. Could have been 4. Van Noy was close to 1. I think it's in the third quarter on a 3rd and 4. Burrow kind of throws the football away. I'm not sure who he's throwing the ball to, but they said that the ball got back to the line. When they showed the replay of it, it was really close. I think it was a 3rd and 4. Maybe it was a 3rd and 7. But multiple guys really ate up Orlando Brown off that left side. Just a total, switch in the dynamic over there. I thought Orlando Brown played really well in Cincinnati's win down in Baltimore of about a month ago. I thought one thing was notable about this game and the way that it ended. We're Ravens fans, and we're going to focus on the Ravens, but the Bengals almost kind of gave up. And what I mean is, yes, after the interception returned by Gilman or the interception by Van Noy and then the return from Gilman, there's, I think, 7 minutes and 38 seconds left in the game, maybe 7:28. We've been 1 or 2 steps ahead of their offense all day. Zach Orr's defense was prepared. They gave up. Joe Burrow is apparently in charge of that offense. They stopped competing. What I mean is, it's 24-0. I get it. The game is really over functionally at that point. It's 3 scores and 3 two-point conversions. They ran the ball 4 consecutive times on their next drive. To me, if you're going to run the ball and just concede, let the clock run, what's Joe Burrow doing out there? What's he doing on the field? Put another quarterback in, forfeit or concede, I should say, the rest of the game. Something seems off there. And I think our defense, the way they played today, was a large part of it. Meaning, if they were up 24-0, we would not expect those type of tactical decisions or maybe tactical mistakes, I guess some would say. If it's 14-0, 17-0, or even 17-3, maybe they behave differently with 7:38 left in the game. I did not expect them to come out and run the ball 4 consecutive times after the defensive touchdown by Van Noy / Gilman. I will talk about the Ravens offense and how we kind of woke up there in the second quarter. The whole team in that second quarter, really, we looked like the Ravens. We looked like what we expected this year, which was a little surprising because we could enter the game with a 6-7 record, a disappointing home loss to the Steelers last week. And the offense got nothing done on the first 3 possessions. And then suddenly, 2 touchdown passes from Lamar. He was brilliant, I thought, in the second quarter. We make it 14-0. We'll get to some of that eventually, talking about the offense. Back to the defense for a moment. We did sack Burrow 3 times, like I said. Also 11 quarterback hits. I want to discuss his stats and the pattern of performance that Burrow has put up against our defense this season compared to 2024 and even before that. 25 of 39 passing, 225 yards, the 2 interceptions. The one to Van Noy, look, it's a brilliant dropout by Van Noy. It's also aided or created, I guess, by immediate pressure from Tavius Robinson. I think it's a mistake by Burrow. I think that if that was to be a Lamar play, multiple people, perhaps myself included, would be laying the blame at his feet. The second quarter one, Burrow's trying to throw it, I think, over the top of and kind of around Roquan. It is a high throw, kind of hits Chase near the top of his hands or his fingers, and then Marlon, of course, gets the interception. I don't know about you, but when I saw a Ravens player settle under it, I was like, that's Marlon Humphrey. There's no doubt about it. Jamar Chase did a great job overall. He finished with 10 catches, 132 yards. He did beat up or kind of out physical Wiggins sometimes. I think that fourth down catch it's a two-handed push-off in Wiggins' chest. It's very slight. It's not full extension. Maybe that's why it doesn't get called. I'm talking about the one that essentially kept them alive in the fourth quarter. But for 2025, as it relates to Joe Burrow, look, he's a high-level quarterback. He executes, and they're going to still win a lot of games with him, moving into the future. I think they need to change track a little bit on offense. Here's what I mean. For 2025, against Zach Orr's defense, Burrow is 45 of 89 passing, so 57% completion percentage. He's got 471 yards, and that's over 120 minutes of gameplay, mind you, where they've possessed the ball for long stretches. You're basically talking about almost a 2-1 margin. In the first matchup in Baltimore, the Bengals were 38 minutes time of possession. We were 22. And then he was only 24 of 46 in that game, by the way. Today, they actually held the ball longer. It was 39-21. So combined, if I do my math right here, they got 77 minutes of possession to only 43 for Todd Monken's side. Within all of that, Burrow only has 470 passing yards, and Chase has accounted for 242 of that. I think that's significant. My point is, their system against us, once again in 2025, has been inefficient against our multiple coverage looks. Burrow's got to execute mentally on a play-by-play basis. Every quarterback does, don't get me wrong, but in order for their system to work, it seems to me that he's in charge. And that's why I say that they absolutely gave up with 7:38 or 7:28 left in the game. He's in charge out there. And today, not only did he have to execute mentally on every snap, because, again, that's the offensive system that him and Wilson have set up, he got physically beat up. To me, that late fourth quarter situation, it seems like a mental concession on their part, on Cincinnati's part, running the football down 24-0. You may have a different opinion, and maybe mine will change in the future. But if you're not going to try to come back, you just get the guy off the field. If the situation was reversed, and we're down 24-0 at home, and Lamar Jackson's our quarterback, and we come out and we hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, down 24-0 with 7:30 left in the game, you can bet your ass that people will be coming out of the woodwork to criticize Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh for not trying to still come back. You were just down there inside the 5. And if your quarterback, in this case Burrow, didn't throw the pick 6 or the pick handoff 6, then you could theoretically be down 17-3 in a totally different dynamic. They did eventually throw. I'm talking about in the final 6-7 minutes of the game. It was a 4th and 3. It's the one where I think, Chase kind of out-physicals Wiggins. It's 12 yards. To me, Zach Orr deserves credit here. And the entirety of the defensive staff and the players, they mentally and physically beat up and wore down Joe Burrow today. That's saying something, because he's one of the best in the world. This is a huge game. It's a huge development, really, from a Zach Orr and defensive standpoint. I'm not saying that we've arrived defensively. We could go out there next week against the Patriots on I think it's Sunday Night Football, and we could get scalded. Aaron Rodgers last week really toyed with us for 3 quarters in terms of taking advantage of so many of our looks, recognizing what we were doing pre-snap, and then making something happen post-snap. Now, we shut him down and the Steelers' offense down completely, right, in the fourth quarter. I will give one more thing to say about Burrow, and I'm not an anti-Joe Burrow guy, but I think this bears discussion or at least mentioning. His interception was on a 3rd down. It wasn't 4th down. So if you don't turn the football over there, you can kick a field goal and then play defense. About 8 minutes left, because the Gilman return took a while to occur, 95 yards. Down 17-3, about 8 minutes left. Certainly preferable to being down 24-0 or even 17-0. If you turn the football over and we don't take it back to the house. That's on Joe Burrow. It's also, I think, created by Zach Orr and the pressure that was created against their offensive line. The system they've got in Cincinnati is predicated on getting the pass pro right, making the correct decisions. Here we are, 2025, and people will focus on the 206 sacks that Burrow has taken since entering the league in 2020. But to me, in this system right now, he looks like a guy who's mentally tired of having to make those decisions on a snap-by-snap basis. I do feel like we were in mug looks less often today. There seemed to be more of an attempt to either A, rely on a organic four-man rush, or walk one inside linebacker up to the line of scrimmage and, occasionally drop one or two guys out and blitz someone else. We were very integrated or very smooth on the defensive side today. Again, Zach Orr, the defensive coaches, they got guys in the right looks, but they did so at the right time and forced Burrow and the Bengals into a number of, I would say, low-level decisions from an efficiency standpoint. A whole lot of guys, individual players, deserve credit here, right? We're talking about a day when Awuzie, Humphrey, and then earlier Buchanan had went down with an injury. I think Dre'Mont Jones actually left with an injury briefly. Maybe he returned, maybe he didn't. I sure hope he did return. But Roquan finished with 14 tackles. We'll start there. Really exceptional against the run, downhill, decisive. I thought he was there in pass coverage multiple times. Maybe at times we're using more zone, and that kind of played into Gilman's hands, I think, from an awareness standpoint. He had 8 tackles. I thought he was spectacular in coverage, generally underneath, oftentimes, like I said, dropping out to Chase's side and kind of limiting the routes that were available when Chase lined up as the X. Dre'Mont Jones was a monster, like I talked about earlier. The energy level that he brings, organic wins as an edge defender, outside against tackles, and then also on the inside. He had 5 quarterback hits, didn't register a sack, however. I think he left with an injury in the fourth quarter. Hopefully he returned. If you know anything about that, please let me know in the comment section. I'll save one for last that kind of doesn't surprise me. Trenton Simpson looked very athletic, decisive, and far quicker in his reactions to run or pass conflict than Buchanan. Buchanan has played well this year in terms of tackles, but he's had all the opportunities. Based on the film we saw today against the Bengals, could you reliably say that if we flipped those reps for Simpson and Buchanan, we wouldn't have a complete handoff, or alternating, I should say, in terms of statistical production? Based on what we saw today, Simpson looks like he's able to equal, if not exceed, Buchanan from a tackle standpoint and maybe even in coverage. Even though they had the ball for long stretches on 9 drives, 39 minutes of possession, the game was kind of shortened. They only averaged 4.2 yards per play. This really looks similar to how we defended Burrow and the Bengals in 2022 and 23. I'm talking about when Mike McDonald was here. I have to mention this and go into it because the stats are remarkably similar. On live glance, or at least through the broadcast, the style of defense looks familiar as well. Less heavy mug looks, 6-7 guys up on the line of scrimmage, at least from what I recall. And I can't offer any reflection or evaluation on the schemes, the coverage choices. But to me, we've got the same matchup. Their head coach, same. Quarterback, same. Wide receiver leader in Chase, although Higgins didn't play for the second time in a row. I think we've established a way to prevent some big plays. And it's more than just being in a too-high look pre-snap and post-snap. I want to talk about the stats for a moment, dating back to 22 and 23. 24 an anomaly, right? Flacco Burrow completely lit us up. But what they did today, as far as the statistical output for Burrow and the yards per pass, is exceptional in my opinion. So for his career, I think Burrow's at 7.4 yards per attempt. Against the Ravens in 22 and 23, under Mike McDonald's defense, it was 5.7. The yardage output for the 5 games across there. Really, one of them doesn't necessarily count. It's the 2023 game in Baltimore that Burrow leaves, I think, in the second or the third quarter. So we'll just do the first 4. 209 yards, 217 yards, 202 yards, 222. It's a ball control passing offense when faced with the style of defense that we played in those 2 seasons and that we've given him this year in 2025. Not entirely sure, what's different, but his yards per attempt, he had a season of 8.9, another season of 7.5, another season of 7.4, throwing out or omitting his rookie year of 2020. So my point is, we appear to have remained consistent with a system to hold him down from a yards per attempt standpoint. He's got 3 touchdowns that he threw against us in the first game this year, 2 interceptions today. Am I saying we figured out Joe Flacco? No. But we have 120 minutes of data where they ran a shit ton of plays against us, mind you. And we're limiting big plays, forcing Burrow to make a ton of decisions and always kind of be right. And what's the return on that consistency of expectation for Burrow in terms of making the decision pass protection-wise and on the pass concept possibly changing it? I also will point this out. Joe Flacco played, I think, 6 games with this football team. Maybe it was 5. 5 plus. 1,600 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Those are just the numbers. I'm not saying he's a better quarterback for their system, but what I'm offering to you is it appears as if the Ravens, once again, hearkening back to McDonald when he was here for 2 years, have a way to hold down Burrow, even though we at this point still can't stop Ja'Marr Chase. Let's talk about our running back output. From a total offensive yardage standpoint, Henry, Mitchell, and Ali, they gave us 198 yards as a trio. Now, Rasheen Ali didn't get a single carry, as you see on screen. I guess that's due to him being on the field so much on third downs. The critical one from an Ali standpoint was the 30-yard touchdown in the second quarter. That opened things up. It's scoreless to that point, right? Neither offense was able to get on the board. Lamar, it seems like, figured out the blitz that the Bengals were in. Only Cincinnati didn't figure it out because, no one covers Ali. It's a 3rd and 7. I think a little bit less than 5 minutes left in the second quarter around when the ball was snapped. Lamar just a little flip to Ali, wide open in the flats. We had struggled early on offensively. Prior to that, I should say. It's 10 plays, our first 3 possessions, 10 plays, 24 yards. The interception is a ball where Lamar hits Zay Flowers in the hands. Well, the arms. It doesn't seem like Zay tries to catch it with his hands. It seems like he tries to catch it, with his arms. That was a play action concept. Would have put us down to like the Bengals 28 or 27, somewhere in that range. But ball pops up in the air when Zay dropped it. Jordan Battle gathered in an easy interception. And man, through those 3 possessions, it really looks like we're setting ourselves up for a similar dynamic to this first matchup. Then we're able to get the football back and go ahead 7-0. We had forced the Bengals to punt after that interception, I should say. Travis Jones had the big win against Rissner. I think his first win against him was kind of like a club move. He got a quarterback hit. There's also a hold on the Bengals offensive line. Then Gilman with a pass defensed over the middle. It was to Tanner Hudson, the tight end, number 87, kind of underneath. And it ends up being incomplete. It's a low throw that I think Burrow's putting low intentionally against zone. So Gilman kind of dropped down somewhere there in the middle of the field. And then finally on the 3rd down, it's 3rd and 19, by the way. Dre'Mont Jones, I don't know about you, but I like this. He's got a little bit of mean nastiness to him. Just a slight bump of Burrow. It almost seemed like he knew the contact level he could get away from. Burrow was throwing it out into the flats. I thought Dre'Mont Jones just terrorized Burrow and their offensive line today. So that was after the interception that hit off of Zay Flowers' hands or arms, and then we get the first touchdown. So this is the one to I apologize. This is the second touchdown after the 30-yarder to Rasheen Ali puts us up 7-0. So this is after the ensuing punt, and the first play. This is late second quarter, obviously. We go dash concept, and we seem to do this at least once or twice a game, where the running back is on the same side as Lamar, or to the field side, the same side that Lamar flows to, or possibly on the backside and just runs out into the flats. And this was a great catch by Flowers. Lamar put it in a great spot. It seemed like Lamar took a little bit off to drop the ball in, almost like a wheel to Flowers up the sideline. It could have been an out and up, something like that. Flowers took a big shot. I believe it was Battle. Again, 26-yard gain, and then Lamar with a scramble in the ensuing play. It seemed to me like we were comparing our offense to Cincinnati. We were willing to come up to the line, snap the football. And Cincinnati is consistently getting up there with as much time as possible so Burrow can survey. There's just, to me at times, that offense looks like it has no rhythm whatsoever and almost could be a detriment as opposed to, let's get to the line, we've got our play called, let's attack. In any case, Lamar missed Andrews possibly on the third play here of the fifth possession, again, late second quarter, and it hits Turner, DJ Turner, the corner for Cincinnati, and in the face mask, in fact. Ominous moment when the ball's popped up in the air. And then the ensuing play is very unusual. It's a short completion to Ali, maybe 4 or 6 yards underneath. The referee, Brad Allen, was hurt. Lamar kind of helped him up, which was really cool. Like there's all these human beings, football players, standing around and there's offsetting penalties. It looked to me like there was a defensive penalty, a hold like in the secondary. And then I think they called this on Ronnie Stanley. He's matched up with Joseph Asai, or they're locked up together in pass pro and pass rush situation. One guy ends up on top of the other one. They call it, I think, on Ronnie Stanley. It sounded like to me they announced it as 78. I don't know about you, but when Brad Allen got knocked to the ground and he was like struggling to get up, he reaches for his flag. And of course, at that point, as a Ravens fan, I don't know about you, I'm like, okay, it's probably on us. It didn't look like Brad Allen was completely 100% with his faculties. Lamar kind of helped him up. And even as they're announcing the penalties, I looked at Brad Allen and I was like, man, he looks like he's going to fall over. Fortunately, he did not. Very unusual situation, and they just had to replay the down. And then Andrews wins in a man-to-man situation, kind of the same route that he's caught from Lamar, maybe 100 times in his career. It seems like 100. Right to left, over concept against man, a lot of space there. And then the very next one is the touchdown to Zay. We had some drops from Zay Flowers' standpoint. The interception that I talked about, and then one that I'll discuss, a little bit later here from the third quarter. This one puts us up 14-0. This was a rocket from Lamar. Lamar was extremely decisive throwing the ball down the field. I think his quote after the game was something like, I told you guys I was healthy, and today you went out there and you saw it. I will talk about some halftime notes here in a moment, but I want to discuss the way the third quarter opened. So we're up 14-0, and we get a stop. It's a 3rd and 4 from the 32. They have reached our 32, I should be specific. It's very cold and windy, obviously, so a long field goal is probably out of the question, right, given the weather. The 4th down play call defensively I thought was incredible. Again, this is to open the third quarter. It's 14-0, so they're going for it to try to get the first down on 4th down. Awuzie is kind of like in the slot, and they motion across. They motion a receiver. I think it's Yoshivas or Iosivas, and Marlon follows him. So we're showing man, right? And again, they've got a lot of time on the play clock as they get up to the line. They're trying to give Burrow as much information as possible. And I think Awuzie shows it early. Basically, he shows, hey, that we're going to drop out. It's a Tampa 2. So Awuzie is kind of dropping to half-field safety. And Roquan, I think, did a great job of getting underneath of this route. It's a high window throw from Burrow. It's Gesicki, right, who's like 6'5", 6'6". I think Burrow knew the coverage, deciphered it, went for the throw that he needed that might have been available over the top of Roquan, but the safety, the safety/corner, Awuzie, is converging. We appeared to have Chase covered underneath. I think that's the idea, right, that there's a seam for Burrow to possibly attack deep or throw it to Chase kind of like on an in cut from that same side as trips. He chose to go up top. It's our 5th consecutive stop of the game. In my opinion, it's a great job by Zach Orr of playing a maybe conservative coverage. The only thing I would wonder about is who was matched up with Chase on that underneath route, right? And could Burrow have possibly thrown it over the middle? It's a Tampa 2, so you've got the Mike linebacker Roquan getting vertical. He's turning his back and running, so in no position to help with the underneath route to Chase. There's a part of me that wonders, hey, why didn't he throw the football to Chase? In any case, we get the stop there once again, and we're able to get the football back and go down and add another score. Now, it could have been 17 or 21-0, Fortunately, we did convert the field goal and make it 17-0. We're talking about the drive in the third quarter after we get the stop on the 4th and 4. When they have an opportunity to go down, Burrow chooses to attack to Gesicki, like I said, over the top. I think Roquan's in great position, and the ball hits Gesicki in the hands. You got to throw it in that high window over top of the Mike linebacker. So this is where Henry really gashed him on 2 consecutive plays. The 28-yard gain to start it off here is, I believe it's the same concept that Keaton Mitchell scored on last week. Basically, a counter step by Henry, and then a flip by Lamar, who's opening, quote, the wrong way or the other direction. So we're trying to make it look like Henry is going to our left, the defense is right, and then he's out behind, I believe it was Rosengarten for 28 yards. So just a badass concept that maybe I'd like to do a One Play Wednesday video about, showing how Keaton Mitchell ran it. And I think it's the same exact concept for Henry. It's the first play at the top for you guys here, 28 yards. Then a lead zone concept for 24. I thought he was gone. Henry and Ricard both actually kind of read it the same way in a pattern, or synchronized, I should say. Henry ends up bouncing it outside of Ricard's block. And for a moment there, I thought he was gone. I think it's Battle, the safety, who comes through and tackles him. Then a short gain by Mitchell creates a 2nd and 6. I wanted play action here on the 2nd and 6. We give it to Henry up the middle. It's an 11 personnel grouping, so I understand we're trying to get the ball to Henry and maybe have him read it. It looks like a zone read type play to me, with Henry set to the same side as the trips. Creates a 3rd and 3, and this is there. You have to give Lamar credit. Like, I don't care if you're a Ravens fan, Bengals, Lamar, like Lamar, don't like Lamar, can't stand him, whatever. Lamar works through his progressions, kind of shifts around in the pocket a little bit, and he put the ball in Zay Flowers' hands. Yeah, I get it. If Zay Flowers is a 6'2 receiver, it's probably an easy catch. Got it. Lamar still put it there with an opportunity to make the play for Zay Flowers. Could have easily been 21-0, really, for all intents and purposes there. Really close to being over on such a cold, windy, and probably miserable day, especially if your team's down 3 scores like the Bengals were here after we made it 17-0. The ensuing possession for the defense after we go up 17-0 really reflects well on the preparation of Orr and how he deployed his guys. So Cincinnati had gotten 1 first down, and they get to like the -37, -38. So there's a completion to Hudson, 87, the tight end / receiver, whatever he is. Gilman is a quick tackle into the boundary. If you recall, Gilman kind of tackled him on or just out of the sideline, and so the home crowd was probably looking for a penalty. Very next play is complete to Pirine underneath, again, a shotgun formation, and Roquan, immediate tackle, right? Immediate tackle on Pirine, sets up a 3rd and 8. They go kind of max pro, where they bring the tight end in the backfield, tight end and running back pass pro, and Van Noy gets pressure immediately. Burrow has to kind of scramble out. It's a 3rd and 8, by the way. And he actually, scrambled out of bounds, didn't even attempt to throw the football. That, to me, looked like a moment where Burrow was frustrated. I can't prove it, and I could very well be wrong. And people will, of course, Bengals fans will have a different opinion. It's a 3rd and 8, 11 personnel for them. We're able to get pressure with a 4-man rush, and Burrow doesn't even attempt to throw. The pressure, in my opinion, the consistency with which he had to make deficit decisions, meaning there's no positive outcome here, got to him, and I think this point is where it's really started to show up. It wouldn't be the Ravens in 2025 if we didn't have either something to complain about or some things to recognize was a little bit of a problem. We got that stop there, forced a punt, like I said, on the 3rd and 8. Well, turned into a 4th and 6 with Van Noy pressuring Burrow on the run out of bounds. 7th possession, and once again Henry goes to work, 22 yards, and then a 4 or a 5-yard gain. We go play action from like the -35, 38, somewhere in that range, and we hit Flowers over the middle on a nice throw from Lamar. I think Lamar had a ton of zip on the football today. If I'm an opposing defense, an opposing fan base watching this game today, I'm like, oh crap, Lamar Jackson looks really good, especially at this point in time. It's a 14-yard completion to Zay over the middle, gets the ball to midfield, and then Mitchell busts loose an 11-yard gain. We're up 17-0 here, man, and I don't know about you, I'm thinking this game's getting ready to be over. We go play action pass And this is the second time, and I'm a big play action pass advocate for the Ravens and the Lions, to be honest with you. I've been harping on that for weeks, from under center, to be specific. Second time we go play action and we end up with a tight end one-on-one on Myles Murphy. I think both of Murphy's 2 sacks today were in one-on-one pass pro situations with the tight ends, where I suspect the running backs are possibly supposed to help to the inside. Now, I think Murphy wins outside against both of them, Likely and Kolar here. This was a missed opportunity, man, and it doesn't necessarily apply at the NFL level, but we used to say this at the high school and even youth level, like we've got to look for opportunities to get some of our best players off the field in the fourth quarter. The difference, to an extent, even though it didn't manifest this game, is if we take advantage of this, punch it in, it's 24-0 after our 7th possession, we don't need Lamar or Henry out there possibly at all in the fourth quarter. The sack of Murphy, his second of the game, is a loss of 6. 2 plays later, another sack. It's the same 3+1 rush scheme on a 3rd and 16. I think it's Demetrius Knight, 42. Maybe he's 44, but I think it's 42 who gets the sack. He's a rookie, that's all I know. It's a 3+1. He was the spy. So that was disappointing for me, but the interception, handoff lateral from Van Noy, capped it. Could have been totally different there. If they settle for a field goal, make it 17-3, we've got to possess the ball. We need Lamar on the field. We need Henry on the field in order to do that and close things out. That's kind of what I'm talking about or trying to explain from the previous possession, our 7th one, where we take a sack on 1st and 10. I'm just not sure what's going on there, that we have tight ends one-on-one with Myles Murphy, the starting DN for them, twice in this game, and he takes advantage. Fortunately, we get the interception. It's over for all intents and purposes at that point. This is a landmark win for this team. At least for today, it gives us a glimpse of what we could be. Maybe some would say, what we should be. The offense was still inconsistent at times. We only needed Lamar to throw the football 12 times, right? He finished 8 of 12 for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Could have easily been 3. Statistically, Lamar could have been, 10 of 12 with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. I'm talking about in some alternate universe where Flowers doesn't drop the ball that ends up being an interception for Jordan Battle in the second quarter, and then doesn't, if you want to call it a drop in the end zone, the throw that could have made it 21-0, that's fine. The point here for me is Lamar looked really good. He also found Hopkins on an RPO for 33 yards in the second quarter. It's like, where has that concept been? Right, it's a snag concept. Hopkins is sitting down. He kind of, I don't know about you, but it's kind of like you watch the play and you keep waiting for a safety or someone to show up from the 3rd level of the defense, and no one did. Hopkins, it seemed like he wasn't sure that he wanted to try to get into 5th gear or maybe even 4th to outrun the defense. But that preceded the third. That was on the same drive as the 3rd down touchdown to Ali. Henry overall finished with, I think, only 11 carries, maybe 12 for 100 yards. Lamar contributed 26 yards on 2 scrambles. We go 189 yards total rushing on only 24 carries. When I say this gave us a glimpse of what we expected for 2025, I mean it. I've been as negative and pessimistic as anyone else, probably more so than most. Do I think that, we're back and this is who we're going to be? No. The Bengals have issues, right? We get the Patriots next week on Sunday night. It's a chance to prove that this is not an anomaly. Could we go out there and do it? We got the talent to do so. If we can protect Lamar and avoid those negative, play outcomes, at least one of which I talked about earlier, we've got the talent to get points on the board. We averaged 7.9 yards per play today. But offensively, this is who we are. We're a big play team. We don't possess the ball for long stretches, offensive line issues, whatever you want to attribute it to. Go right ahead. That's been an issue all year. We were only 2 of 7 on 3rd downs today and had, I believe, 20-plus minutes of possession. Fortunately, we had the big second quarter explosion on offense, and then the interception, handoff, run from Van Noy and Gilman. I thought Gilman was spectacular throughout. That puts him away. This is a shutout of a division opponent. It should be praised. And in this case, watching it live, I think does it justice from a shutout standpoint. Chase was he was who he is, right? He's able to average 13.2 yards per catch and 8.25 yards per target. He gave us issues once again, but no one else got going. Chase Brown, 20 touches, 90 total yards. In my opinion, their offense needs some type of restructuring, some added flavors or elements to it. I'm not just talking about from the receiver standpoint. Burrow and their head coach are the system. It oftentimes, in my opinion, presents as lacking rhythm in attack. Very staccato, stop-start, maybe is a better way to put it. They call a play and very rarely run the play on time or quickly, maybe is a better way for me to try to describe it. I get it. You've got to check in the NFL, especially if it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, and you notice something. But it almost seems like Burrow and the Bengals treat 2nd and 6 situations like it's 3rd and 6. They definitely offer a ton of danger. Who knows? Next week, Burrow could throw for 330. They got great wide receiver talent when they're both available. But I can't help but think if it weren't for some weird plays in the first meeting, the Flowers touchdown that's called a push-off, it was equaled by, I think, 2 obvious push-offs by Chase today, or maybe one was Chase and one was another receiver, as well as the likely fumble at or on the goal line and our inability to pass pro, that we could have been 2-0 against them. They're there for the taking in both matchups, in my opinion. But it's 2025, and even in a win, you're going to get some dose of reality for me. Yes, we could have won the Steelers game, certainly. We actually did take the lead, pending your own understanding or evaluation of the Isaiah Likely touchdown that wasn't. The Bengals' first meeting a month ago. Look, I'm not saying I think we should be a 9-win team or at 7-7. I'm not. We're not a 9-5 football team, but the quality of play in the NFL this season is low across the board. Today, against this Bengals team, on the road, in frigid conditions when we had to have it, the guys competed, they battled, and I thought they were the more physical team today, which is what we come to expect from the Baltimore Ravens. I do want to give some halftime notes. I generally try to save those to the end. Our offense was really non-existent early. This is just me literally reading my notes for the first half. Through the first 3 possessions, we had 28 yards of offense, 2.8 yards per play. So 10 plays, 28 yards, and then we exploded, right? We had the touchdown passes to Ali and Flowers. I thought Lamar had a number of sharp, accurate throws to come back from that interception. The defense getting 4 stops in a row. The one that really I thought kind of sparked us or triggered us was Ardarius Washington's first snap. It's a 3rd down, 3rd and 8, in fact, and Ardarius is getting depth. It looks like zone to me. Burrow scans to his left and then comes back to the tight end underneath. It may have been Gesicki. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Hudson. In any case, Ardarius and 2 other teammates are there for the tackle. He's not the only guy, but Ardarius goes low. And, I mean, all forward progress of the tight end is gone. It looks like to me like a 5 or 6 yard gain, so it would have been like 4th and 2, maybe 4th and 3. Burrow is slow to walk off the field, and he kind of is looking at the coach or looking at the sideline and then looking back in the middle of the field. It looked like Burrow wanted to go, and they didn't. And they gave us the football. We go down and score. I'm talking about the drive that culminates with Ali's touchdown. Lamar scrambled for 14 yards. He hit Hopkins with the RPO for 33. I'm not sure about you, but that was a big play by Ardarius. And multiple other guys are there, in my opinion. It's great to see him available. Through halftime, we had outgained them, even though we think the offense was stinking it up for the first 3 possessions. 193 to 112, and we're averaging 8.4 yards per play. So when I say this is who we thought we were going to be in 2025, that's what I mean. It's a bad Bengals football team. I have my own evaluations of their defense from a talent standpoint, and the system they've got in place for Burrow and Wilson. I think it's got to kind of diverge a little bit or add some elements to it. But first half, we're up 14-0. Offense not doing much at all the first 3 possessions. In my opinion, at least for today, we get to enjoy what the Baltimore Ravens look like, and it's who we expected. In any case, I appreciate you guys checking out the whole video. If you did so, please let me know in the comment section what you thought of some of my thoughts as well as things that I may have missed here in this reaction video. And finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy my thoughts and the things I tried to focus on here in my reaction, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.